Hi, my name is Chris and this is Battle Nonsense. In this short video I want to talk about a feature that I would love to see introduced in one of the upcoming Battlefield games. I say upcoming because in the early days of the Battlefield 3 beta I asked Alan Kurtz if they could implement it. And he sadly told me that if they would include it into the game, then it would basically reduce your frame rate by 50%. And sadly that is still the case in Battlefield 4, as two developers from DICE LA have told me recently. Now, what kind of feature am I talking about? You can actually see it right here in Insurgency. When you aim down sight in this game, then only the part inside the optics of the scope gets magnified, while the rest of the game world doesn't. The reason why I like this feature is that even though it's not realistic, it still makes the game a little bit more authentic, and aiming becomes a little bit harder too, because it does not turn your entire screen into a huge magnifier, which just makes it too easy to aim at other players that are in the same area. So it might look a little bit strange when you never played a game that uses this feature, but you get used to it very quickly, and as I said, I really enjoy it. Now, what could this look like in Battlefield 4? Good question, and to be able to answer it I spent the better part of this afternoon in Battlefield 4 and After Effects. And this is what I came up with. So when I aim down sight, then the area around the scope still gets magnified a little bit, and I think that this should be done to avoid that the difference between the section inside the scope and the surroundings gets too extreme. I also added a slight blur to the part around the scope to shift the attention to the center of the screen. Now, I do know that there will be players who don't like such a visual effect, but I can just say that I really loved it in every game that I have seen it so far. And I know that some of the developers of DICE would also like to have it, but with the current generation of the Frostbite engine it would have a too big performance impact. But why is that so? Well, as far as I understood Alan Kurtz back at the Battlefield 3 days, they would currently have to render the entire screen 2 times at full resolution. One time with the magnification level that is going on around the scope, and one time for the magnification that is used inside the scope. Then they take the rendered image of the inner scope area and mask out the section around it and place it on top of the other image. This means that you render way too much information that you won't even see, and that is not something that you want to put into a productive system. So it seems to me that to get this working we would need the ability to just render that section inside the scope. Which might be similar to that feature the Unreal Engine has, where you can set up virtual cameras in your world and then you can render their view to a texture, which you can project to any surface, like a surveillance monitor or the center of your scope. So there's no point in asking DICE LA or Visceral to include this into Battlefield 4 or Hardline, because the engine simply does not support this yet without the insane performance hit. But if the community would start to request such a feature, then this might increase the priority to support it in one of the upcoming titles. So if you like this idea, then you can visit the topics that are linked to in the description, and maybe we see this in Battlefront, Battlefield 5 or maybe in Bad Company 3. So if you enjoyed this video, then give it a like, subscribe for more, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, have a nice day and take care. My name is Chris and this was Battle Nonsense.